Hetep, this is Ma'at Ra, Satepin Ra, Ramessu MeriAmun. And today's video is titled, Why You Should Prepare for Death. And before we get into this, like, comment, subscribe, and share the video so we can get this message out to a lot of our people who need it. Why you should prepare for death. Preparing for death is extremely important because of the fact that you're going to spend more time where you're going than here in this physical realm. You're going to spend more time where you're getting ready to go than you're ever going to spend here. Your human experience is short. It's short. It's not a long experience. It's short. When you die or pass away and your soul leaves the physical body, you're going to end up in the duat, which is the spirit world, which is the real world. This world is an illusion. The real world is what our ancestors called the duat. That's the real world, where every living soul will end up on the day that the physical body ceases to work. So that's where you're going to end up. You're going to end up in the spirit world, in the duat. So that's what our ancient African ancestors called the spirit world. Preparing for death is a very important part of life. Our ancestors prepared for death throughout ancient African history. Everybody in ancient Kemet prepared for death while they were perfectly healthy. So you had perfectly healthy people in ancient Kemet that were already preparing for death, picking out their coffin, getting their tomb together, writing their inscriptions, getting all the things they need to get right mentally so that they can escape reincarnation. Or if they know that they haven't reached that level of enlightenment, then they prepare to meet whatever fate they must meet in the spirit realm and then go to reincarnate. And what are some examples of preparing? Righteous living, doing the right thing to your fellow man, taking care of the children, doing what needs to be done as a community, operating naturally, having a good state of mind, being kind to people, defending righteousness by all means, practicing right action, doing right action, thinking right things, doing right things, achieving great things while in the physical body. These are the things that you do to prepare for death. Being a better father today, being a better mother today, being a better spouse today, being a better brother, being a better sister, being a better auntie, being a better uncle, being a better family member, living in Ma'at, falling in line with nature, falling in line with God's will. This is how you prepare for death. So when it's time for you to leave this world and you close your eyes, you did everything you were supposed to do. And you studied the wisdom teachings and became one with God. And now you don't need to reincarnate. There's no need for you to come back here. You know, getting everything together, preparing. They spent their lives doing this. And why did they spend their lives doing this? Because they knew that their true existence was in the spirit world. This existence is a short existence. But the spirit world, the spirit realm is eternal. It's eternal. So that's the real world. This world right here is an illusion that we're living in. We are actually living in an illusion. And if you ever seen my video, Worldly Illusions and How to Escape, I explain how this is an illusion. So, our ancestors spent their lives preparing for death. And not only picking out a coffin or getting their tomb ready, it was more to it. Preparing for death also includes preparing yourself spiritually, preparing yourself mentally, spiritually. That is also how you prepare for death. Selfless service to other living souls. Because remember, your subconscious mind is what records everything. Your subconscious mind records everything that you do. Your subconscious mind is also God Himself. Your subconscious mind records the good, the bad, no matter what you do. Because the subconscious mind is always in record mode. And what are the lenses? The lenses are your eyes. Your eyes are the lenses to your subconscious mind. That's how the Great Spirit God is able to keep a record of everything you do. Everything you do. And plus, on top of that, God, the Great Spirit, dwells in every aspect of creation anyway. So it's really no escaping. And the ancient African ancestors, they knew this. That's why when you go to ancient Egypt, you see the beautiful monuments dedicated to the Great Spirit. So when you think you're doing something in secret, it's never in secret. It's never in secret. Because God dwells everywhere, all through creation, all over creation. You can't escape it. So preparing for death also makes it easier when it's time for you to check out. Preparing for death makes it easier. And how, see, when you do good things for people, that's recorded. That's recorded. When you do bad things to people, that's recorded. These things come back to haunt you when you close your eyes and you go into the unconscious state. All the things that your subconscious recorded throughout your life, when you go into your unconscious state, these things arise 10 times strong, because now you're in the spirit world. You're in the duat. So these things are now 10 times stronger. So in order to make sure you have a pleasant experience when you're in the duat, you have to do the right thing to people. You have to do right by people. You have to do your best. That's the only way that you can escape reincarnation. Remember, we went over that in one of my previous videos. We went over that. So you wanna do great things while you're alive. You wanna do God's will. You wanna do God's work while you're alive. And once you have dedicated yourself to bettering yourself and then doing God's work by helping others, then you're preparing yourself to have a pleasant experience when you get into the spirit realm. And that's a part of preparing for death, because you're preparing yourself for the true life that you're going to go live. This life is short. This life is an illusion. This life does not last forever. In the spirit world, you're eternal. So you got to prepare yourself mentally. Those around you are going to pass away. Your mother's going to pass away. Your father's going to pass away. Your brothers, your sisters, everybody in your family is going to pass away. And if you end up outliving them, you're going to be around to witness it. You may go before them. So you have to prepare yourself, because you can go before your family goes, before your grandma, before your grandfather. You got to prepare yourself. They could pass away before you. You have to prepare yourself. Talk about these things. It's not negative. It's not a negative thing. They made it seem as if death is a negative thing. It's not. It's a part of life. It's a part of existence. The physical body expires. The soul doesn't. So when your physical body expires, the you that makes you you, the energy, the spark that makes you you, it will go on. You see, when you feel excruciating pain on earth, here in the physical realm, the body has a safety mechanism. It faints. If you were to feel pain that was so terrible and excruciating, you would faint. You would pass out. That's your safety mechanism. In the spirit world, in the duat, there is no safety mechanism. The body is not there anymore. So you're going into the spirit world as a pure soul. So everything is 10 times intensified. Pain, happiness, all those things are 10 times, 20 times stronger than they are here in the physical world. So if you're a person that lives your life doing the wrong thing, you're going to create your own hell. If you've done the right thing, and maybe you've done some things that were wrong, you're going to create your heaven. If you were able to live righteously and become enlightened and become one with God before you pass away, there's no need to reincarnate. If you've learned the many lessons of life, there will be no need to reincarnate. No need for reincarnation once you've learned. And another way to avoid reincarnation is studying Ma'at. This is preparing for death. Having a strong mind, having your head in the right place, your heart in the right place. Having a strong mind, having your heart in the right place. This is how you prepare for death. Doing great things with your time on earth. Doing great things for your children. Doing great things for your spouse. Doing great things for your mother, your father. Doing great things for your community. Doing great things for society. Godly things. This is how you prepare for death. Not being a selfish person. This is how you prepare for death. Because that day's coming. And you don't want to be one of the people that have lots of regrets, have a bunch of built up negativity. Because remember, the heart and the mind are the same exact thing. So when you got your mind right, you got your heart right. When your mind is not right, your heart is not right. So you must prepare for death. And like I said, it sounds terrible because you've been conditioned to feel or think about death in a bad way. You've been conditioned. That is why when you hear the word death or you hear me say prepare for death, you should prepare for death. It sounds negative, but it's not negative because our ancient African ancestors, they understood this. They seen how everything in the world dies. They see how everything in the physical world deteriorates. They saw this. All they did was observe. And they saw that when leaves fall off trees, they turn brown. They saw that plants die. New plants grow. They seen other people around them die. This is how our ancestors learned. They observed. They observed. And when they saw these things, they seen that the physical world things here, they perish. So we got to prepare. That's what the ancestors were thinking to themselves. We have to prepare. If all of this perishes, then what should we look forward to? We should look forward to our life as a soul. Because according to the Purim Heru, according to the ancient African sages, that is where we are going to end up, in the spirit realm. Every single person that is living right now is going to shed the physical body, and you're going to be shot into the spirit world. You're going to wake up in the real world. And everything that you've done throughout your existence, throughout your life, when you get to that spirit world, you're going to pay for it. Everything that you did good, you're going to be rewarded for it. You have to prepare. You have to do better now. You have to do better today. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Again, how do you prepare yourself? Getting yourself right mentally. How do you get yourself right mentally? Practice the laws of Ma'at. That is a tool to help you get close to God. Because God is Ma'at, and Ma'at is God. The Great Spirit. Ma'at is just another name for the Great Spirit. All the gods and goddesses of Kemet is one God with many different attributes. So therefore we get the gods and the goddesses, the attributes of the one spirit. So Shatat Neter is a monotheistic spirituality. Even though we have many different, what they call gods and goddesses. The Great Spirit is always watching. It's very important to prepare for death. And just because I'm telling you this, that don't mean you're going to die anytime soon. I don't know when you're going to pass away, nor do you know when you're going to pass away, nor does anybody know. It can happen 50 years from now, 70 years from now, a year from now, a week from now. No one knows. That's why it's important to prepare. And when you prepare, when you begin to talk about death and prepare for death, you're going to feel better about it. Then you won't feel so negative or bad about your time if you spend your life preparing, doing the right thing by other souls, doing the right thing by your children, doing the right thing by your spouse, doing the right thing by all your family members. As much as you can. There are plenty of ways to be kind to people without giving too much of your all. And it's good to give your all. I'm not saying. Some people deserve your all. But everybody deserves kindness. And you have to be careful now. I'm not telling you to just, be, you have to have, you have to be very careful, There's a lot of evil people out here. So you have to have good judgment, okay? Have good judgment. So you don't put yourself in a dangerous situation trying to help someone. I'm not telling you to put yourself in a dangerous situation to help someone. Unless you have to. If it calls for that. It may call for you to put yourself in a dangerous situation to help someone. But you have to be the judge of what situation you're going to put yourself in. Helping people is always a good thing. That's how you grow. That's how you do God's will. Helping people in a positive way. This is how you prepare for death. This is a part of it. Preparing for death is not a bad thing. According to our ancestors, you should look forward to death because death is a step up, a step in the learning process. If you end up having a hellish experience in the doo-wop, you'll learn from that. If you end up having a positive experience in the doo-wop, you'll learn from that. If you end up becoming one with God, you've learned all there is to learn and know that you need to know to get to the level of becoming one with the Great Spirit. So, prepare yourself for death mentally. You have to. Meditate. Meditate on positive things. See you and your family doing positive things so that these things can become a reality in the physical. Do as much kind as you can do for people. Help people whenever you have an opportunity to help people so that you can prepare yourself mentally for death. When you get to the point that is your time, you'll feel good about yourself. You'll feel good about the life that you lived. You'll know that you did a lot for the world. You contributed to other human beings. You built great things. You did great things. You were remembered as a great person. That's how you want to leave this planet. You want to be remembered as a person that did God's will, did God's work. Not a fake person, not someone who faked like they were doing God's work, but really out here making it happen. And another reason why it's so important to prepare for death is because death is an unavoidable event in one's life. Nobody can avoid death. Death can come at any time, any age. It can come in. It can happen at any part of your life, your younger years, your older years. It can come at any given time in the physical world. So preparing for death is important because that's just a part of life. Death is a part of life. Death is a part of existence, and it's something that our ancestors dearly prepared for. And that also shows that our ancestors did not fear death because they prepared for it so strategically, and it was an important thing to them. Now, death has become something that's bad, evil, no good, but our ancestors viewed it as, for those souls that needed it, it's a chance to go on to the next level and get another chance at life, get another chance to better yourself. You know what I mean? So, because the physical world ain't gonna last forever, but that's a whole nother video. Prepare for death. It's very important. And it's not to bring fear to anyone because I'm letting you know that you can die anytime. That's not bringing fear to anyone. That's bringing the truth. I'm letting you know the truth about how the physical world operates. You can go at any time. Now, knowing that you can go at any time, why wouldn't it be wise for you to spend your life and your time on earth preparing for where you're going to go? Wouldn't that make more sense, preparing for where you're getting ready to end up? Because where you're getting ready to end up is where you're going to be spending the majority of your existence. The physical world is a short experience compared to when you go into the spirit world. So now let's look into the MeriAmun and let's see what our ancestors have to say about death. At the time of death, one does not come back to the same body. Did you hear that? At the time of death, one does not come back to the same body. So you see where the whole reincarnation concept stems from. It stems from our ancient African ancestors, not the Hindus, not the Chinese. It stemmed from our ancient African ancestors. Okay, so at the time of death, one does not come back to the body. So you know what that means? That means that when you pass away, you go through your experience in the duat, you reincarnate, and you get a different body. You reincarnate into a different body. You don't have the same body every time you go into embodiment. When you reincarnate, you get different bodies, and these bodies can have different problems. You see what I mean? You could be born as a child that does not have properly functioning legs. You see what I mean? The body that you get in your next life it can have some type of problem wrong with it. It may be deformed. Look up all the people that are born with deformities, or they're born with handicaps, or they're born with certain issues where their body is not functioning correctly. You can be one of those people. That's why reincarnation is something that must be avoided. And the only way to avoid it is to learn the wisdom teachings, learn how to become one with God so you can escape this human experience. Because you don't want to be left in that type of situation where you're born into this world and your soul is put into a body that doesn't function well. So while you're in this life and you're able to function mentally, you're able to have all your functions, now is the time to get it right. Prepare yourself. Do the right thing. So when you that's why reincarnation is not a desirable thing. Our ancestors that did not desire to reincarnate. That was something that was an undesirable thing to them. Because when you reincarnate, you get a different body, you get different circumstances, you get a different life, you get different cards dealt to you in life. And that's something that the ancestors wanted to avoid. They wanted to avoid that cycle. That endless cycle that only you can bring to an end. No one else can bring it to an end for you. Only you can do that. And if you don't do it, then you're going to be stuck in that never-ending cycle of coming here, trying to get it right, trying to get it right. It goes on to say here, it says, the aspirant or initiate was to understand his identity with the transcendental reality properly before death. That's why I tell you, prepare for death. You must understand your identity with God before death. You must understand your identity with God before you leave this planet. That's what the MeriAmun is telling us here. You have to understand it properly. Why is this important? It goes back to the mind. If you don't fully understand, then at your time of death, the universe is going to feel that you need to come back and do it over again because you don't understand. You see? So you have to live your life preparing. You have to live your life understanding God. You have to live your life doing this. It's very, very important, because if you pass away and you have an evil mind, a jealous mind, you have regrets, you've done a lot of evil to people, you just were not a good person, then you're going to make your experience in the spirit world gruesome. It's not going to be a good experience. And it's something that you're going to cause on yourself by not getting your mind right before it's time for you to check out. And when I say check out, I mean your physical body. Okay? Leaving your physical body. So you have to have your mind right. And remember, your mind is a representation of your heart. Your heart and your mind are the same thing. There is no difference between them. So you have to have the proper understanding or understanding of righteousness before you leave your physical body. Because if not, then you're going to get caught up in that cycle again of coming back here, getting a mother and a father again, and you don't get to pick who it is, mind you. It's just going to be a random mother, random father, where the universe picks it or God picks it compared to your deeds and your actions of your past lives. So whatever deeds and actions you committed, those would determine the type of life you live upon your reincarnation. Spiritual enlightenment leads to freedom, not only after death, but also while alive as well. Okay? And why does spiritual enlightenment lead to freedom? Because you're free of jealousy, you're free of envy, you're free of hate, you're free of the demons. You're free of them. You are free of these things. Because when you're free of all those things, you're able to live a prosperous life. You're able to live a life that's almost painless. You're not tormented by emotions. You're not tormented by past experiences that you still hold on to. So becoming enlightenment, understanding who you are, knowing who you are, leads to freedom while you're alive. Now, how it leads to freedom after death is because you don't have to do this anymore. You don't have to keep coming back here and having to go through life over and over again because you can't get it right. And that's where the freedom comes in after death. You escape embodiment. You escape being a physical human. You escape this, which the ancestors say is undesirable. Being a human is an undesirable state, according to our ancient African ancestors. So that means there are better states of existence. When you are free from anxiety, anger, hatred, greed, jealousy, the demons, you are able to achieve greatness in life. I just said that. When you're free from all those things, you're able to be great. You're able to do great things for yourself, for others, for the world. When you get free of these demons. And you have to do this before you die. You have to do it before you leave this world. You have to. That's the only way to escape all these experiences. The demons of the lower self are the chains that bind a human being These are the chains that bind you, your lower self. Negative actions, negative thoughts, doing negative things to people. Thinking negative things towards people. All these things bind you. These are the lower self. They bind you to negativity. You see? They bind you to worldly entanglements. Sinful thoughts, activities. The lower self binds you to these things through these emotions. Anger, hatred, jealousy. Emotions are the problem. People that can't control their emotions do wrong. That's what it all boils down to. controlling yourself, controlling your emotions. An emotionally unstable person is very dangerous. Very dangerous. Okay? An emotionally unstable person carries demons. And I'm not talking about the demons from a Christian perspective. I'm talking about the demons that dwell inside you through jealousy, hate, greed, anger. All these different functions that happen through the body. You see? So these negative aspects of the personality are what lead a person to experience untold sufferings in life, as well as hellish conditions they encounter after death. After death, the mind, the heart does not stop when you die. Your physical heart stops. But the energy that dwelled in your heart, it goes on. That energy that sits in your heart right now, that keeps you alive, that makes you able to think, your seat of consciousness, that does not stop. Once the physical heart stops, then all that energy is released from it, which is you. And you go into an unconscious state. And you experience all the evils that you accumulated throughout the many different lifetimes. You carry that baggage with you. That's why you must prepare for death. That's why you must get your mind right. Preparing for death is getting your mind right. Getting your emotions right. Getting your life in order. Spiritually. See? These things are important in preparing for death. In death, one wakes up not to the physical existence, but to an astral existence. To an astral existence. At the time of death, you don't wake up. You don't wake up in the physical. You wake up in the astral. You're there now. That's why it's important to take the time right now, while you're here on earth, while you're here in the physical realm, while you're here now, take the time to become enlightened, to reach that oneness with God. Study your Kemetic teachings. Study what the sages wrote. It's very, very important. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you get to the next level where you need to be at. I'm trying to help you escape embodiment. That's the goal. Nobody else talks about the goal of human beings. Nobody tells you the goal. The goal is to escape embodiment. That's the goal. And the only way to do that is to do things in a righteous way. To have a righteous perspective on existence, to have a righteous perspective on earth, on life, on others. That's the only way to escape this. Prepare yourself. You must prepare yourself. I'm going to do a part 2 to this video too. Because preparing for death is something that's very important for every single person listening right now. Preparing for death is an important thing because it can come at any time, at any age. Doesn't matter if you're healthy, unhealthy, it doesn't matter. Death can come to anyone at any time. So, knowing that, you must spend your life preparing. This is Ursa Ma'at Ra Satepin Ra, Ramessu MeriAmun. Have a glorious, glorious night. Ma'at Hetep.